So we talked today about regular verbs and irregular verbs in combination with present perfect in German. And this is actually quite an important topic because till now we have dealt with simple present. So I really wanted to create phrases in simple past or any kind of past tense. So it wasn't so troublesome. Now after this session, I hope that the perception of how to use present perfect or past tense in German would be more clear. So let's have a short talk about regular and irregular verbs, and then we shift to present perfect, which is actually our main topic. So we learned actually that regular verbs in German, they have very clear structure. They don't change their vowel. So let me give you an example. For example, a verb like kaufen. This represents a very typical regular verb in German. It is regular in its conjugation in present tense. It is also regular when we conjugate it in the past tense or present perfect. So let me conjugate this verb. Ich kaufe, du kaufst, er, sie, es kauft, and then plural, wir kaufen, sie, and the capitalized formal form sie kaufen. Here we have this form er, kauft, which is actually the second person plural you all, means you plus one, kauft. So these are the personal endings. Ich kaufe, du kaufst, ihr sie es kauft, wir kaufen, sie kaufen, and ihr kauft, which is a little bit different than in English, because in English we don't differentiate between singular du and plural er. But meanwhile you know that. So this verb is a regular verb. It is regular because it doesn't show any changing in its conjugation. It's a very smooth conjugation using the personal endings. This is also regular when we use this tense in the past, this verb in the past tense. So I would say, ich kaufe, the simple past which we are not dealing with now, ich kaufte, and ich habe gekauft. Habe gekauft. So if you look at the vowel here, the vowel doesn't change. Ich kaufe, ich kaufte, and the sign for the simple past. And ich habe gekauft, which has a GE at the beginning, the verbal core, and the T at the end. And for sure, the auxiliary verb habe. And we learned actually that we just conjugate the auxiliary verb. Ich habe gekauft, du hast gekauft, er, sie, es hat gekauft, wir haben gekauft, ihr habt gekauft, sie haben gekauft. So here is actually the radical or the verbal core or the verbal stem. And the GE is the prefix and the T is the suffix that which encircle the verbal core. And as you see, in the case of kaufen, the root, which is K-A-U-F, remains unchanged. Doesn't matter whether I use in the present tense, ich kaufe, in the past tense, ich kaufte, or in present perfect, ich habe gekauft. It means the root K-A-U-F remains unchanged, and in particular the vowel AU does not change. So now, if we compare this verb with an irregular verb, we see that there is a crucial change in conjugation of the verb. Let's look at a verb like schreiben. Does somebody know what does this verb mean? No, you can say that loud.
write?
Loud. To write. It's fine. To write. No, it's fine. It's a classroom, so the people speak. It's fine. No, you're supposed to just react.
So we can ask questions as well?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
got it.
No,
Oh.
it has to be interactive.
Man, I am not fluent in social
No,
work.
absolutely fine. It's fine. So,
Schreiben.
schreiben. Schreiben represents an irregularity. This is a very typical irregular word. Why? So have this structure that I told you in head, right? And now compare it with this word. Ich schreibe. Ich schriebe. Ich habe geschrieben. If you now look at the verbal structure, there is a changing from AE in the past tense to EA is really shifted, right? Is really flipped, and in the present perfect also. So this is AE toward EA and EA. Ich schreibe, ich schrieb, ich habe geschrieben. I write, I wrote, I have written. This is an irregular verb. So we call it irregular because actually the vowel changes. And we call the verb kaufen, to buy, I bought, I bought, a regular verb in German because the vowel doesn't change. Now, this is something that you have to know also in addition, that irregular verbs in German are not considered as irregular verbs. We call them starke Verben, which means strong verbs. We call them strong verbs because they adapt themselves and their vowel and their vocalism according to the tense, and they change from the present and the past to present perfect. While the regular verbs for us in German are schwache Verben, which means weak verbs, that they stay stagnated, fossilized, and they don't change their vowels. So that's why it's important if you look at German grammar books that you will be not confused that what is strong verb, what is a weak verb. What we do consider in English grammar as irregular verbs are the strong verbs, and the regular verbs are the weak verbs. We have also irregular verbs within the German verbal construction, which we call them unregelmäßige Verben, which means irregular verbs. They are small in numbers, but a verb like to be in German, sein, this is a real irregular verb. Why? Because from present to the simple past to present perfect, this is a huge change. Ich bin, ich war, ich bin gewesen. I am, I was, I have been. This is an irregular verb, not this verb, because this verb, they follow a particular pattern, and if you know from one category, we have 7 classes of verbs in German, and from these 7 classes of so-called strong verbs, if you know from every class one verb, you can always generalize it on all other verbs of the same stem. So it means we have 7 classes of these irregular verbs, which are the strong verbs. So I want to give you a very short introduction to the types of verbs in German before we go to present perfect. So we have the so-called regular verbs, right? As an example, I brought for you the example of the verb kaufen. This is a regular verb because there is no change. Ich kaufe, ich kaufte, ich habe gekauft. Regular. So this is the first category. The second category were irregular verbs. I brought the example schreiben. habe geschrieben. So we have so-called, if you want, exceptional verbs which are extremely irregular. So exceptional verbs. For example, a verb like sein. Look at that. It is ich bin, ich war, ich bin gewesen. If you look at that, there is no pattern that you can remark, that you can notice, and according to, you could actually conjugate other verbs. This is absolute irregularity. The infinitive is sein, the present tense is bin, the past tense is war, and the present perfect is ich bin gewesen. So I am, so to be, I am, I was, I have been. With the difference that we would say I am been, right? So, as you see, this is an exceptional verb. The same is, for example, the word gehen. Look at this form. Gehen. Ich gehe. Ich ging. Ich bin gegangen. So we consider, actually within the German grammar, we consider these verbs hyper irregular because there is really no pattern, no sample, no model that you can follow and say, okay, when I learn the verb sein, I can conjugate few of other verbs according to the same pattern. Wouldn't help. So recommended is that you could learn verbs which we consider as exceptional verbs by heart and memorize them. The number of them, however, are very restricted, they're less than 10. So, these irregular verbs, however, which we call them starke Verben, they sound to be irregular, but they are quite regular in their repetition of the patterns. For example, if you look at the structure of the verb schreiben, you can always conjugate verbs of the same pattern. For example, a verb like, let's say, steigen, which means actually to climb up, to go up. It's the same conjugation. Ich steige, ich stieg, ich bin gestiegen. Or the verb like treiben. Ich treibe, ich trieb, ich habe getrieben. Or the verb like bleiben. Ich bleibe, ich blieb, ich bin geblieben. It means always the same form of changing your vowel from AE to EA or EI to IE, right? So, but this doesn't give us any pattern. This is the third form of the word. The fourth form are actually the so-called mixed verbs. What are the mixed verbs? Mixed verbs are those verbs that they have something from regular verbs and something from irregular verbs. Look, if you look at the regular verb, we have this form. Ich kaufe, ich kaufte. You see this T, which shows the past tense, and ich habe gekauft. So you have GE and T at the end. So GE, verbal core, T at the end, and T for the simple past. Now, and if you look at the irregular verbs, they change their vowel. They have a GE at the beginning, but they have EN at the end, not T at the end. Ich habe geschrieben, ich habe getrieben, ich bin geblieben. They have always GE and EN at the end. Compared with the verb like ich habe geliebt, ich habe gewohnt, ich habe gekauft, ich habe gespielt. All of them have GE at the beginning and T at the end. And all of them in the simple past, these terms, simple past, they have all, here, they have always a T at the end. This is the present side. So, now mixed verbs, they are a combination of regular verbs and irregular verbs. They are also luckily very restricted and small in numbers, and you can learn them actually by heart. There are 5-6 verbs. One of them is a very famous verb, like the verb denken. The conjugation would be ich denke, ich dachte, ich habe gedacht. So I think, I thought, I have thought. And if you look at that, actually, the verb changed drastically. Denke, ich dachte. It changed its vowel, so it is irregular verb. But it gets a T, which is very typical for regular verbs. But it changed its vowel, which is typical for irregular verbs. So this is a mixed verb. And in present perfect, ich habe gedacht. Another word for that is the word bringen. Ich bringe, ich brachte, ich habe gebracht. Interestingly, quite every mixed verb which is structured in this way, their counterpart in English would be the same, very irregular. Think about the verb I think, I thought, I have thought, I bring, I brought, I have brought. This is also extremely irregular verb, but it is at the same time a mixed verb because it has the T from regular verbs and it has the changing of vowel from irregular verbs. So this is the fourth type of German verbs. And finally, we have the modal verbs. Modal verbs are the verbs that help us to modify phrases. For example, if I want to say, I want to go, ich will gehen. Or if I want to say, I would like to go, ich möchte gehen. Or if I want to say, I must go, ich muss gehen. Or when I want to say, I should go, ich soll gehen. Or when I want to say, I may go, ich darf gehen. Right? Or if I want to say, I can go, ich kann gehen. These are the modal verbs. We have actually 5 modal verbs plus 1, 6 modal verbs. And this is an extra topic. We are dealing with that separately, but I want that you have an overview about these 5 different verb types. So each of them will be treated and got under the loop precisely, but it is better to have a very general, holistic view about verb types in general in German. So modal verbs are 6. 1, the verb wollen. Conjugating is different. Ich will. Then we have the verb können. Ich kann. And then we have the verb sollen. Ich soll. This is quite regular. Then we have the verb müssen with the conjugation ich muss. So the 5th verb is the verb dürfen. Would be ich darf. And the 6th verb, which is actually the verb mögen with the conjugation ich mag. And there is a final verb which is möchten with the conjugation ich möchte, which is actually not a modal verb. This is the subjunctive form of mögen, which means to like, would like. So, wollen, ich will gehen. As you see, we conjugate the first verb Well, we do not conjugate the second verb. Ich will gehen. Ich kann gehen. I can go. Ich soll gehen. I should go. Ich muss gehen. I must go. Ich darf gehen. I may go. I'm allowed to go. Ich mag gehen. I like to go. And ich möchte gehen. Finally, I would like to go. These are actually the 6 modal words plus the final one, möchte. Möchte is actually the subjunctive of mögen. While mögen means I like, möchte means I would like. So it means if you compare mögen with like, so möchte means would like. So these are the 5 actually types of verbs in German. Now we go back to present perfect. So we're going to have the handout to that and a quite nicely structured PowerPoint presentation where you actually see every single verb with its conjugation and how it works to have a general overview about these 5 verb types. Any question regarding that?
Yes. So here we have the 5 major types of verbs and 3 major types of like conjugation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that we have regular, simple past, and present perfect. Is there a conjugation for future tense in German or no?
Conjugation of the future tense is very simple. We use an auxiliary verb werden plus infinitive. Ich werde gehen. And you can't, that's actually the future tense.
Got it. So we don't really conjugate like kaufen into it.
No. This is very typical for Romance languages like French, like Italian, Portuguese, Spanish. But in Germanic languages, we use a modal verb, which is actually an auxiliary verb, exactly like English. Yes?
So the modal verbs we just learned are present, right? Like
Yeah, they have also past tense.
Oh, okay.
For example, will would be ich wollte, kann would be ich konnte, soll would be ich sollte, muss would be ich musste, dürfen would be ich durfte, and mögen, mochte, möchten is already a subjunctive form, doesn't have a past tense. Now, whether we use a present perfect, yes, but very rarely. Well, often we use it just in simple past. So you would either say ich will gehen. Just let me give you an example here. It's actually a very good question. It is not of our today's topic, but it is important to know that modal verbs, they have frequently the usage in the present tense and the past tense. So look at this phrase. Ich will gehen. So ich wollte gehen. So I want to go. I wanted to go. But the present perfect, ich habe gehen gewollt. You would barely use it. So as you actually in German, in English also you would use the simple past and the present tense, but not the present perfect. All other verbs in German mostly have the frequency of using the present perfect, except with the exception of the modal verbs. The modal verbs often will be used just in the simple past. Do you have a question?
Yeah, we learned the simple past of sein and haben.
Yes,
are those
these are
frequently used.
This is very commonly used. The verbs sein and haben are actually the only verbs in German that in contemporary form they will be used in all tenses, through present, simple past, and present perfect. So we would use the verb sein, ich bin, ich war, ich bin gewesen, I am, I was, I have been, and the verb haben, ich habe, ich hatte, ich habe gehabt, I have, I had, I have had. But these are very exceptional because they are so frequently used in German that they found their entry in all tenses. All other verbs, they have often just the present tense and the present perfect. The simple past, which I actually patterned that here, often will be used for narrative German, storytelling, correspondences, and durative forms when you want to talk about something that you will within a repetitive time, in the past time, did it repetitively. For example, you're gonna say when I was 5 years old, I kept going every day to kindergarten. So for that you would use the simple past. You would say, als ich 5 Jahre alt war, ging ich jeden Tag zur Schule. When I was 5 years old, I went every day, or I kept going every day to the school, right? So, but this is often for repetitive tenses in the past, so we concentrate on present tense and present perfect. So no, going back to modal verbs, yes, they will be used just in present tense and present and simple past. Present perfect of that, ich habe gewollt. As modal verb, I have wanted will be barely used. So rather we say ich wollte, which means I wanted, plus an infinitive. Ich wollte gehen. Ich wollte studieren. Ich wollte schlafen, and so on. I wanted to go. I wanted to study. I wanted to sleep. So, any question regarding these 5 types of verbs? If not, we shift toward present perfect. Fine. So, our topic present perfect. So you have actually some handouts there, and I want to give you some theory that I promised you last week. So, first you have to understand the difference between the present perfect in English and so-called perfect in German. Even though they have the same form and they use an auxiliary verb, both languages, German and English, they have quite different usages. The present perfect in German is probably the most frequently used tense in contemporary German, while the present perfect in English, I have written, I have gone, I have seen, has less usage in English, rather to say I saw, I went, I watched, using the simple past. The reason for that is that in German, the simple past has a narrative approach. We use the simple past in German when we want to talk about something that we as habitually, within a past time, within a dead time which is not relevant for our contemporary time, used to do that repetitively. So you can imagine that for everyday speaking, you barely talk about that what you did when you were a child every day.
Yeah.
So it means this term has less usage in contemporary German. However, the less it has the usage in contemporary German, in literary German, fairy tale, storytelling, correspondences, journalism, you see that more and more. But for now, for contemporary conversational German, we frequently use the present perfect. Let me give you an example. Ich sehe einen Film. Ich sehe einen Film. Compare it with ich habe einen Film gesehen. So I translate these phrases as I watch a movie, I watched a movie, but not I have watched or I have seen a movie. The reason for that is that if I translate the present perfect, ich habe einen Film gesehen, to I have watched a movie, I'm talking about an uncertain time. Within a contemporary English, if I say, I have seen a movie, well, yes, I have seen a movie called XYZ. It means I'm recalling and referring to a time which is not precise. I have seen it once upon a time, but I don't know when was it, right? Within the last weeks, within the last month, within the last years. But if somebody would ask me, have you seen the movie Beautiful Boy, for example? Did you see that? I said, yeah, I saw that last night. So for that, I would use that. Ja, ich habe den Film gesehen. Ich habe den Film gestern Abend gesehen. So it means, actually, the meaning of present perfect in German corresponding to the past tense in English, not to present perfect. So as less the present perfect in English will be used, the most frequently will be used actually in German. There are two reasons for that, why we do not use this form. Ich sah einen Film. I saw a movie. So because when I say ich sah einen Film, it goes to a very past time, a very, very past time back into my childhood maybe. Once in the past time, once upon a time. So that's why I don't use it. That's the first reason. The second reason is, look at the vowel changing. I have here ich sehe and I have here ich sah. It means basically also because of the changing of the vowel, it's quite inconvenient to use it for everyday speaking. It is easier to say ich habe einen Film gesehen rather to say ich sah einen Film, because we change the vowel, and vowel shifting is for contemporary German is even more difficult than to use present perfect. So the first thing that you have to know about present perfect is that in paraphrasing present perfect into English, we use the simple past in English, but we mean present perfect in German. Any question?
Yes. So you're saying that when we use like ich sah einen Film, we're talking about something like very, very long ago.
Yes, or not precise.
So does that mean like so we would use the present perfect most of the time, but are there like some niche like situations where we
definitely
want to
based on context? If there is a long talk,
right,
and if there is a literary text, and I have time preferences and tense preferences, and I want to prefer one tense over another tense, I most probably would use za. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any usage. It is just based on the frequency of usage, and since that is the German beginner, I prefer that we start with present perfect, and once we are a little bit more solidified in our knowledge in tenses in German, we shift toward the simple past. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any usage, but it doesn't have the preference. Yes?
Sorry, could you summarize each and translate each one again?
Sure. So, ich sehe einen Film means I see or watch a movie. So, this is the 100% correspondence. There is no change. Present tense is present tense. You can understand it also as present continue. I'm watching, I'm seeing a movie. Ich habe einen Film gesehen means actually in English you paraphrase it to I watched or saw a movie. So the simple past, ich sah einen Film, could be also translated to I watched or I saw a movie, but based in a context, right? So you can even translate it as I had watched, I saw in a very past time, once upon a time, a movie. So, but for everyday speaking, this is the tense we need, and this is the translation we need. So, well, this is about the theory of the usage of present perfect, but this is something formally that you have to know about the present perfect in German. The present perfect that called perfekt in German, this is the name of the tense. We don't call it something like present perfect, we call it just perfect, has a major difference to present perfect in English. As you see, formally seen, in German we say, ich habe einen Film gesehen, means I, a movie, have watched. It means the object and the whole additional info that I want to infuse into the phrase comes between the auxiliary verb haben or sein, if it is a movement verb, motion verb, and the main verb. While in English, I conjugate the whole verb and I say I have watched, and then I put the object, what I watch, after the participle. I have watched a movie. I have seen a movie. I have visited a friend. In German, it is different. I use the subject, the auxiliary verb habe, which is conjugated in 6 persons. Ich habe, du hast, and etc. And then I use the object, what I watched, and then I use the participle of the verb. So it means the verb like ich habe gesehen, which means I have watched, or maybe a regular phrase like ich habe gespielt. What does it mean? Ich habe gespielt?
Played.
I played, exactly. So as you see, the objectional phrase comes here. So ich habe einen Freund gesehen. Ich habe einen Film gesehen. Ich habe eine Stadt gesehen. Ich habe ein Buch gesehen. Ich habe Tennis gespielt. Ich habe Fußball gespielt. Ich habe Ping-Pong gespielt. Ich habe Gitarre gespielt. As you see, the whole object, what I did, comes between the auxiliary verb and the participle. Not only the object, any other additional information I want to infuse to the phrase, at what time I did what, with whom, under which circumstances, and in which modality, it comes always between the first part and the second part. Think about that. I want to say, I played tennis with my friend in stadium at 8 o'clock on Sunday. The whole information, I would say like, I have, with my friend in stadium on Sunday, tennis at 8 o'clock played. So I would say, ich habe Sonntag mit meinem Freund im Stadion um 8 Uhr Tennis gespielt. I mean, this is not very unlikely that you would have such a long phrase in German, particularly in written form. You can also break it down in shorter phrases, but this is theoretically very possible that we have a very long phrase with so many adverbs and adjectives and time and place adverbs, adverbial time, adverbial forms, temporal and other kinds of additional information, and then we have the verb at the end. So as you see, ich habe Sonntag mit meinem Freund, I can even add a preposition here. Ich habe am Sonntag mit meinem Freund im Stadion um 8 Uhr Tennis gespielt. Actually, the core of the phrase is ich habe gespielt. Then I can additionally but steadily add additional information to the phrase. What I played, with whom, at what time. It could be also, I can also add on the let's say sunny Sunday or rainy Sunday, or I can say even the place. I can say ich habe am Sonntag mit meinem Freund im Stadion in Beverly Hills um 8 Uhr Tennis gespielt. I can add endlessly additional information to the phrase, which makes for sure the understanding of the phrase at once quite complicated and not very lucid, but this is possible. Just to know that there is a formal difference next to the semantic difference, that it means I played tennis. It has also a formal difference that in German we use the whole information and then we close the phrase by using the participle, right? This is actually what you have to know about present perfect. So to sum it up, present perfect is the most frequently used tense for the past tense and past actions in German. It might be a regular verb or irregular verb. The phrasing of a present perfect from German into English proceeds using the simple past. And the third thing that you have to know is that the object and all whole additional information I want to put and infuse to a phrase comes between the modal, comes between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. So.